Alrighty, guys. Oh shit. We are back in the garage for the first time in a very long time. I've been lazy ass. Work's been kicking my ass, and the fact that the sun is practically down by the time I get home doesn't really help. I'm looking at getting some lights for up here, but I don't really want to invest a whole lot of money right now. But to catch you up on what I've been doing when I do have some time, I've already pulled out all the pistons, got those at the shop, cleaned up, ready for some new bearings. I bought the camshaft puller tool, got that there off, started working on getting the timing cover off, and they're seized onto these pins right here. Snapped a hole in it there. I cracked it there, and pretty much this timing cover is trash. Gonna try and beat it off with a hammer and a chisel today. But first things first, I'm gonna clean up this disaster of a work environment. I got me a trash can and a shovel and another bucket, and we're gonna go ahead and get all this garbage cleaned up. I got to bring this back to the shop, empty that. That's all the stuff I pulled out of that. So we're going to try and get it cleaned up, get the oil dry, swept up, get all the trash thrown away. You know, I got to start organizing these parts to get put back and cleaned up. I got to get all the trash out of the bed of the truck from the previous owner and from me just throwing stuff back there. Gonna have to cut this up, get some new cardboard going, try and clean up my tools, organize them, and get back going and making some videos regularly like I was. Good night, son. All right, almost took me out, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean this shop up, and with a little bit of movie magic, hopefully it'll be a little bit nicer when I boom, clean shop. And I found light in the corner of the shop. Not exactly professional shop lighting, but I think might be able to work in the dark now. He's never seen it before. He doesn't know what it is. And yes, I got some bitch mittens on, cleaning all this stuff up, and God knows what was in the back of this. I got all that trash cleaned up. Get a little bit of a better look at the engine here with some light on it now, finally. The cylinder walls, oh, I guess you can't see that. Well, left my flashlight at the shop. I'm gonna have to make sure I bring that back with me every time, because it's not exactly the best lighting, but it's better than nothing, because I mean, it's only been 10-15 minutes and the sun's practically down, and we wouldn't be out here much longer. I am gonna go run and grab the hammer and chisel and see if we can't convince this timing chain cover to come off, because the only thing left on this engine to do before we clean everything back there and put all of these fancy new gaskets and bearings and rings back on is to take the timing chain off, take the camshaft out, take the crankshaft out, and replace all the crankshaft bearings. I am going to leave the camshaft bearings. I prefer to not mess with that right now, especially at least for this build. We've run into a slight hiccup. I might not be getting turbo for this truck. My daily decided the transmission wanted to go out, and all of my turbo money went to a new transmission, and I'm no longer even driving that truck. I ended up buying a new Ram. So it is what it is, live and learn. We might just cam it, new timing chain, re-ring it, make sure the compression's good, slap it back in there, and see how fast we can burn through some tires. Ain't that right, buddy? Amber, hey, what are you doing? Oh, hey, buddy. Hey. Okay. All right, well, let's go get that tool, see if we can't get that timing chain off before I he decided to give up for the night because I'm starving and he hasn't eaten dinner yet. And I'm sure you're hungry, right? Yeah, you're starving. All right, let's go get those tools. I went and got the beefy hammer and the biggest chisel I got, and ended up snapping that top piece off as soon as I hit it. So, I mean, it's not like a big deal because it was over with anyway. So I decided to see if I could crack open these studs and see what we're sticking up on. And I don't know if you can see, hold on, let me try to focus this. All that, oh, there it went. Too close. Oh, too close. God, I suck at this cameraman stuff. All right, all that corrosion right there on that thread, on or the surrounding right there, is what's causing this to stick. Because as you see, there's the other piece I snapped it at. But I got a nice gap going all the way up to it until we get to about right here. So since we're gonna have to replace this cover anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and try and just end up beating this top layer on this side and on the other side, which should be able to free it up. If it doesn't, then I'll end up having to just break those covers off and put some WD-40 or some penetrating oil overnight and let it sit and see about getting this cover off. Because I mean, this thing is just beat and battered. That's kind of the shitty thing about working on an older engine, especially one that was not maintained properly, is you just run into things that, you know, you're not expecting. And with it being an at-home garage, I don't exactly have my most professional toolkit here, so I'm kind of working with what I got and making it the best situation I can. It ain't gonna be a pretty job, but it's gonna be functioning when I'm done with it. That I can tell you that much. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and beat the rest of that off and see about getting this cover off. I tried to film, but the way this light is, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film me actually working on the car. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out if I can get some shop lights and run them across the beams. But this shed doesn't have electricity. I'm running an extension cord to even run this thing, so it's kind of weird. But anyways, I'm gonna try and get back to this and see about getting this cover off before it gets too dark. So it's off. I don't think it's reusable at this point, unfortunately, because due to some concerns. But yeah, if this tells you how bad the corrosion was on it, I mean, these threads are non-existent. I'm gonna end up having to replace these. This is butchered. I mean, just butchered after I was beating on it. So we're gonna go ahead and see if I can even find these online, or just have to get some studs with some threads on it. Now, you can tell that this timing chain needs to be replaced just by that slack. These older engines, they don't have tensioners, so just over time they get slack in them and they get like that. It's not the end of the world. It still ran, but you know, over time it'll cause some problems. Now, this has been replaced, at least as far as I know of. Every older engine I've, you know, broken into has never had a stock double roller timing chain like this. Because it's, you know, it's wider than normal. Typically it'll be a single link chain running across. And these cylinder heads are actually a GT cylinder head, which does not come stock in the base F-150. So my guess is that it definitely has been worked into before. But you know, hey, I'm not complaining. I'm gonna go ahead and take this nut off. We'll slide this off, we'll take this off, and we can get a good look at the camshaft and work that out and see if we can get this lifters out today as well. So I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. Kind of forgot you're supposed to take the lifters out first. Duh. And I actually was working on taking lifters out and noticed something I've never seen before. This little tray right here holds those lifters down and make sure they don't come out unless you take this out. I've never seen anything like that before, so that was pretty neat. We're gonna go ahead and see about if I can pull these out by hand, or if I'm gonna need to get the magnet. What in the tarnation is that? All right. Oh, these things are stuck in here pretty good. So let's see about getting these up and out of there. Man, those lights get hot. Definitely can't be doing this much longer, but take all these off here. Guess they're more keepers for the lifters, I'm not sure. It's the first Ford engine I've been into. Learning every day. See about getting a pair of pliers on it. See if that'll help. I wouldn't recommend this though. Oh, yeah, they're in there all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and pop all these out here, and I'll turn the camera back on once I get them all out. Alrighty, so I went ahead and pulled all the lifters out last night. Decided to call it. Went ahead and brought my flashlight and some other tools home today. Pulled the camshaft out, just got it started. Gonna go ahead and yank that out, but I want to get that on camera. I also found out that these lifters, definitely not stock. These are called roller lifters. They got a little roller right there. So 110%, this engine has been, built before by somebody who kind of knew what they were doing. The only thing I'm afraid of is, while I went ahead and quote unquote test drove this after I bought it, it didn't have enough power, especially with it having a double roller timing chain, roller lifters, and I'm assuming a beefed up camshaft. So it's either got A, low compression, or B, it spun the bearings, the camshaft bearings, which I'm actually having to replace on a 350 Chevrolet at the shop now, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. End up having to buy a retarded expensive tool just for that one job, but if that's the case, I'll have the tool for this job. So let's go ahead and get this camshaft pulled out here, and we'll take a look at it, see if I can't wiggle. Oh, good Lord. Look at the wear on these. Yeah, I'm glad I'm going to be replacing the camshaft here, because I wouldn't say it's in very good shape. There we go. All right. Let's take a little bit better look at it in the light. It's got some fair amount of wear on these lobes here. I mean, not the worst I've seen, but definitely get out of there. Come on. So let's go ahead and put this in our parts table. We'll just put that right there, because that's not going to be a reused part there. So now, with the camshaft out and the lifters out and all that good stuff, let's take a look at these bearings here, see if we go, whoops. See if we can't get a light in there and take a look at these bearings. Hold on, trying to figure out how to multitask here. All right, there's that. Let me wipe these clean real quick. And, if someone's already been in this, there's a possibility that well, I'll be damned, these bearings do look fairly new. But there is a possibility, see, that hole right there is where the oil comes out of and lubricates the camshaft. There is a possibility that one of all those bearings down there spun. I'm trying to get a better way in there. One of those bearings could have possibly spun, which would definitely cause a lack of power, especially for something that has beefed up parts like this. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this engine over. We'll get a look at this crankshaft, and we'll pull those out, pull the bolts for it out, and get that out of there, and we'll be down to a bare block here. All right, so this is the crankshaft. Pretty simple. We got these two, these two, these two, these two, and these two. And oh shit, I'm gonna have to get this rear main out. We'll have to figure that out. I don't know if it's connected to this right here or not, but let's take all these bolts out. It is already marked 1 2 3 4 5. No, that one's not marked, but 1 2 3 4 with the arrow facing towards the front of the engine. It is mucho importante that these go back in the exact order, in the exact way they were facing, with the exact, you can't flip these, can't put 1 and 3. It's got to go exactly where it started. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get these loosened up. It's gonna be a 3/4 inch socket, I believe. Let's see if I can do this one-handed here. Nope. All right, I'm gonna try and maybe record me loosening these up, see if I can get a decent camera angle with this god-awful light, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. Okay, hey buddy. Yeah, I tried to record. There's just you just see a big shadow. It doesn't really work. But we got everything off. This crankshaft, so now we're just free spinning. Went ahead and pulled that rear main seal off. Everything's good to go. Yeah, this is basically how your engine works, just like this. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Nothing hard to it. Serious note, I did find that the bearings, these main bearings were pretty scarred up. So this engine rebuild was definitely needed. As you can see, it's kind of, these bearings are pretty much seized in there, stuck on. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording here just so I can use both my hands to get this up out of here. And we'll pretty much be done with as far as the teardown goes. Obviously, got to take the motor mounts off, pull these studs, take the oil filter off, and basically hit all the material where gasket meets with it with a cookie wheel, pressure wash the block, paint the block, and then assemble. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to take this back to the shop to do all that, because this is my measly little air compressor back there. I don't know if it has the balls to go ahead and use an air tool for that long, especially a die grinder like that, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, finally back on it. Made some really good progress in these 2 days, and hopefully either later this week or next week we will have this block cleaned up and ready to go. Thank y'all.